Stop what you're doing, zoom to the show notes and fill in that little line that says Unreasonable Connection going live, London, February 2026. And what we're doing is creating an event in London that is 150 co-working community builders all talking to each other, setting the agenda for themselves. So it's like a bar camp, unconference with a side of hackathon. And the people who join the list, we will connect with you and run little events with you and quizzes in the email. So you help design the event you need when you get to it. So the waitlist happens now. Tickets go on sale in January 2026 and there's only 150 seats. And it's only 150 seats because it's Dunbar's number. So go and look that up. And today we're going to talk to one of my favorite people in London and probably the UK and even the world is Lucy, who runs the Inclusive Coworker. And she writes epic stuff, which I read and really get nourished by, if that doesn't sound too weird, about inclusive co-working, the co-working industry. And a lot of the photos she uses are from real people in real co-working spaces. It's the reality and the connectedness of what she puts together that I really enjoy. And today we talk about why the biggest rival, I should say that in a kind of voice, the biggest rival to your co-working space isn't another co-working space. It's your home. There we go. That could have worked better. Let's get into the show and I'll go and get some training on how to do introductions to podcasts. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We've been talking for so long before this podcast. We've got to get right into it. Lucy, what are you known for this week and what would you like to be known for?
Hey, Bernie. This week, I'd like to be known as, I'm Lucy McInally. And I'm a co-working industry writer and the founder of the Inclusive Coworker. It's a platform where I explore the human side of co-working. So I'm really curious about workspace design and communities and the sort of inclusive nature of co-working as well.
I just got a backpedal then. When I said this week, it's because it's not the first time you've been on here. It's not like you are very consistent in writing and producing content. So I didn't want to, I don't want to like wound you before we get into the episode.
I feel very honoured to be asked back because I know I spoke to you a few months ago. So when I got your message this morning, I was like, oh, it's so nice. Like already I'm being asked back. That must be, it's a good thing.
I couldn't get a hold of Hector, so I had to go to you. There's a link in the show notes to Lucy's Inclusive Coworker on Slack. No, not Slack. What am I saying? Substack. Jeez. And you wrote about this. Your biggest threat is not another co-working space. It's home. And I knew that, but I never actually say that to people when they're going, oh, there's all these other competitors. We're just opening in whatever part of London they're opening in. And but I try not to say lots of co-working spaces, but like, this one's doing that and this one's doing that and we should be doing that and we haven't got a helicopter pad or a rooftop bar. And the truth, is that it's working from home.
Yeah. I mean, I can't take credit for this topic because this was actually an idea that I saw on LinkedIn. It was Sarah Travers from Workbar who shared it first. Where she just literally wrote, like, do you know who your co-working space's biggest competitor is? It's the home office, working from home. And I was like, oh, yeah, that is really a fair point. And so that post got quite a lot of engagement. And I was thinking about my own experience of co-working. I was part of a co-working space for 2 years, as we're both very connected to this space. And it closed down. And when that kind of happened, and since then, and this has been a year now, I've just been working from home. I haven't joined another co-working community. I'm really sad to say that because I obviously do so much in the co-working industry, love what co-working stands for and write about it so much. But I guess that kind of topic struck a nerve in that sense, and I thought, oh wow, yeah, that is so true, not just for myself but for so many people.
That's why I stopped going to Fento co-working space here because I love it.
Okay,
but it's this is another thing. It's a lovely 45-minute walk through a park to get there, or like a bus ride, and it's right next to our son's school, so it all works out really well. And then he started to go like, because he's a teenager now. He's like,
he didn't want you walking him to school.
Yeah, I'm not walking home with it. He has friends now. I was horrified, So then it became, oh, I'll just do a bit of work before I go out, and then suddenly it's midday, and then it's not worth going there and coming back, and
Yeah,
and then so practicality is not worth it. Like it, I love it, but and I suppose I could get a moped or something and get there quicker, but I don't want to get a moped. It's all these things. See, this is what I think happens with people. And then it's like the effort of finding another co-working space. There's
mm,
only 15 in Vigo, and the realistic blocker is, I'm so apprehensive about speaking Spanish to anyone that I don't know that's the block. But I'm having lessons, but it's finding another community. It's
yeah,
like I'm never going to love again. Do you think that
yeah.
gets into it?
Yeah, it's almost like trying to find. It's almost like, I guess, like finding a friendship group. Really, like we at the space I was at for 2 years. It's like we were so close to one another that almost the community still exists because the space is no longer. But there's no space that we're all convening at. So we're like this decentralized community essentially, who still do have the odd co-working day together. I was messaging one person earlier and we were like, let's co-work together soon, but we're not meeting every day at that space. And you're so right. It's like, how do you find that new community? Because it was a community that I didn't necessarily like. I wasn't forcing that community, that group, or being part of it. It just so naturally happened over time as well. And you're right about like the effort to go to spaces, because I also left at a time where I moved further away and the space had moved further away. So what was like, it was like 25-minute commute initially for me, then turned into 50 minutes. And like you, it's like, oh, do I really want to go? Oh, do I want to, yeah, get on the train or like get on the tube? And like you say, maybe I'll start just getting on with something. And then, yeah, it's like lunchtime. And I'm like, well, I don't have the capacity to go to commute in and back again. So it is quite tricky. Have you tried any of the spaces, any of those 15 spaces in Vigo?
It's even worse. So I'm part of this little community of, we call ourselves immigrants. Like it's an immigrant community, even though other
Yeah.
people might call us expats. There's a huge political,
Yeah.
uh, definition there by Angela, who leads it. And we go and tour co-working spaces. So I've been to a lot of them, and I've met them because we've been coming here for like 15 years. So I remember them opening, and I know people from them. And like, I don't want to arrive as, hi, Bernie, the co-working guy from London.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, because I'd punch myself in the face. There's actually one opposite our apartment, which is really cool.
Mm.
And the guy always is really nice to me, and I see him in the street, and I just cannot pluck up the courage to go in because I'm so paralyzed by my lack of Spanish. But I have 3 therapists and a Spanish teacher helping me with that. But it is, it is. There is a little. I'm going a little bit deeper. It's like, which one is going to be the one, and then I'd have to spend, which actually I will do in 2026 when I'm speaking Spanish better, is go and sit in one for each day. And the other thing I've noticed here, I think this is, from what I've seen in London over the years, it's much easier to get a day pass in London because it's that type of city. But in Vigo, mostly people were more. It's more of a membership place than a drop-in place because it's not a a, what do you call it, a commuter city.
Okay.
And there's 15 instead of 1,000. But it's very hard to buy a day pass.
Oh,
Like
they just don't offer it, so they just do membership or nothing.
yeah, it's like if you go to their websites, very very few of them have an option to book for the day, and I'd be more comfortable like automating my can I come for the day than going in and saying I just want to sit here for the day because I can't handle that conversation. This is probably not helpful for people who uh, running a co-working space in London, is it? But there's all these different kind of micro blocks to actually getting out of the house.
Yeah, no, but I would think what might be useful for operators is what that maybe outside, yeah, external perspective is, and that experience for users, I guess, or potential members, let's say, as in, because I was thinking when you were saying about the fact there's kind of no you can't buy ad hoc day passes, for example. I think what's really good at a lot of spaces here is that they offer that like free trial day. And I don't want to exploit any spaces and businesses in that sense by using a day, but it is a really good way to test out if a space is right or not. I mean, when I joined Town Square, it was like the first, because I had been at another space previously, moved to London, joined a space for 3 months, which was partly after an event that you ran. And I was like, this is such a cool space. This is such a great vibe. I'm going to join it. Then I joined the space. And because like no one was there from the event, because obviously you just had hired it out for an event. And I just didn't get like, I didn't really meet anyone and it wasn't like the space for me. So then for Town Square, I just tested it a couple of times because I was a bit nervous about like, is this going to happen again? Like, am I going to join something, invest in it, invest my time, and then leave? So I think that's what's really good here. So I guess it's almost like, okay, what are those touch points for potential people to like test it out? I went when I was in Edinburgh. Actually, I had a really great first experience at a space. I joined a Clockwise, which was down the road from me. I didn't know Clockwise at the time because I wasn't in the co-working industry back then, but because this was just after lockdown, me and my now husband had been walking past this space quite a lot on our lockdown walks. And we're like, oh, what's this? An office. So when I thought, oh, I need to get out of the house and like find a workspace, I was like, I'm going to look at this Clockwise space. So I did the free trial there. I got a tour and then got to work there for the rest of the day. And then the community manager was like, oh, tomorrow we're doing like a yoga class in the morning. So if you want to come to that, you're more than welcome. And we're doing like whiskey tasting on Friday evening. Come along to that and then see if you like it. And then you can sign up. So I kind of got all these like added benefits, these member experiences, which, I wasn't expecting. And because I was like, well, I love that they do yoga and whiskey tasting, like I'm going to sign up. I literally went to the yoga class the next day and then signed up for a membership. So yeah, it was an interesting experience. So yeah, I guess here, going back to like what to find here, it's I think also going back to that sort of, I was thinking about when you were saying about the sort of commute as well. There's some in Greenwich and there's a place in Blackheath I really want to try. And there's the design district as well I'd like to try out. And then there's potentially a new space in Greenwich coming. I just need to try them all out. But the thing about the space in Blackheath, for example, is that it's to get there, the most direct way is to walk across the heath. Now it's dark, like it gets dark really early, 4:30. I don't feel like that's the safest way to get to commute. And so that is also being a bit of a barrier. I'm making excuses up for myself, obviously.
I think these are, I was listening to that and I was like, exactly that. Because the amount of times I've been, with my wife or a family member or a friend, and it's like, I wouldn't walk down here. They've just said I wouldn't walk down here on my own. Yeah. And I hadn't even thought about it.
Yeah.
And that is a really valid thing. And I think these are the things that go through. Like I just love coffee. And if I go to a place that looks amazing and they've got this mediocre coffee machine that screams when it grinds beans and gives out a liquid that looks like Bovril, like, even if David Bowie and Prince are sharing an office down the end of the hall, I don't want to go there. Like, it's the little tiny things like kill the magic for me, because I'm so pedantic about coffee. But they are like, that's what happens. What would have to be in a space other than things we discussed? Because I think people try and, like, co-working spaces try and hook people in, and I don't think it's a hook. It's like you need to get their attention, but there's something a bit more sophisticated and woo-woo going on than just like grab. Like, I saw a space I really, really, really love, and you know it too, but we can't say who it is. And their main flyer was 50% off. And then in little things, so it was a photo, 50% off like a Black Friday deal, and it's not a Black Friday deal, it's an anyway deal, and it said in little letters underneath, for your first month.
Mm,
And I was so upset that a place that cool is devaluing their product by saying 50% off. And then
right.
it says
Yeah.
in little letters, and like, even if I was attracted by the 50%, I'm not the kind of person that place should really be going for. And I'd feel, what's the word, you know, ripped off before I even took the offer because of the small type.
Yeah, I don't know why spaces, and I guess businesses in general, so they lead with that number when I think, especially in co-working, there's so many other amazing things. Like you don't need to say 50% off, because if you give me all the benefits that I'm going to get from being part of your community, then I'll pay full price. I don't need to spend 50% off. And it's a shame it's a shame that they lead with. I guess like some of the things for me I've been exploring recently around that sort of, like the vibe of the space. Vibe is a very abstract word, I know, but and how do you get that across before you join a space as well? Because I'm always talking about when you step into a space, you kind of get a sense of whether it's for you or not. But we've just spoken about the fact that you might not make the journey to visit the space first, or it's that sort of like effort to go into the space before to try it. So I guess it's like, how do you show that before that? And like, I'm really looking at a lot of like marketing. I'm like recently just gone down a big rabbit hole of like Instagram as well, and just looking at, I'm just following as many brands as I can on Instagram because I love seeing the content that they produce. And there's some spaces that are doing some, really awesome piece of content. And I spoke to Alana from Projects recently about some of the stuff they were doing. And she was talking about how, because they're in Brighton, they don't just show, here's the space, here's everyone working in the space. They show like, this is where we go for drinks in Brighton. This is like our favourite pub in Brighton. This is like some of the local restaurants. And I just think that's really cool to like show the like lifestyle, or think about the lifestyle of the people in their spaces. Because I think then relating that back to where I'm at, well, I moved to Greenwich last year, and I would love to go out more in Greenwich and like support local businesses and do a bit more meet, especially meet people here as well. I have I've met like sort of my neighbours, and they're really lovely, but like beyond that, it's quite difficult. And if you have a baby or dog, it's really hard to meet people. So I still go out just across town and everything. So I guess like a space could really show the sort of whole ecosystem of who, and it also shows that they're supporting other businesses as well, which I think would be really cool. What do you
I
think?
I, I really agree with that. Like, there's so I think Indie Hall in Philadelphia, which I've been following for years and years and years, does that really really well. They show all the, I'm going to say ecosystem, which is a bit of a bro tech word, but they show all the ecosystem.
Awesome.
And I I sometimes want to move to Philly because they have geeky book things going on, and they talk about. I feel like I know Philadelphia because I've followed their content for so long, and I think Alex and Adam do it really well. The thing I don't like about like this really puts me off, or I think people should think it out better, is when there's loads of kind of, hi, we're the cool people here, and it sort of sells an aspiration rather than the reality of the situation. Because I find that, like, I'm going to use this example because it's cleaner. I would probably, I know, like 2013, there were loads of, like, the first co-working spaces were established around Old Street, and so
Mm.
many of the photos were two incredibly good-looking guys drinking cappuccino with MacBook Pros, broing it out. And I'm not very good looking. I drink espresso, and I had a MacBook, not a MacBook Pro, and I felt excluded as a chubby little white male. And it it oozed this attitude of kind of that.
Mm.
And I think you need to be not, overdo it or overcompensate, but like there's being on brand and there's being relatable. which is a very fine line.
And I guess being inclusive as well, because perhaps in your experience that wasn't a very inclusive space. Although maybe I would challenge you there, because I was just thinking about you saying about Philadelphia, it makes you want to move to Philadelphia. Is it, I don't know, do you move to a place and sort of be in those, choose those communities? Like I knew when we moved to London, quite soon on, we both knew that, like me and my husband were like, we really want to move to Greenwich. We can see ourselves in Greenwich. We are like, we want to be in this community. And so, and I feel like, yeah, really enjoying being in this community, although, like I said, I don't know many people as of yet. But is there something around choosing that space because you identify with those people? And is that something that the spaces are trying to get across as well? I know that we can, yeah, I understand your what you're saying about the space in Old Street, because there are definitely some spaces that are like the tech bros kind of space. But then if, yeah, I guess if it's set up by a tech bro and therefore tech bros, then you join that, then I definitely wouldn't feel very welcome in that space. So I think it's a really interesting, I don't know, conversation, I suppose.
It's to do with like that. Like I am with what you're saying for sure, because it's the intention, and if it's so a lot of, you know, you and I know a lot of female only spaces, and or whatever the terminology is, and a lot of female only spaces have to be so careful with their languaging, because everyone's like, well, it's not very inclusive because it's just for women. And then they're like forced to ask for permission. Whereas if I said I'm opening a gentleman's club in Mayfair, no one would bat an eyelid. And if it was this space, I'm trying to think of somewhere we both know, like this space is for people that do this and like this. You know, it's a co-working space for writers of South Asian fiction. And then that's what it did. And if someone else wandered in, it was kind of okay, but that's its flag in the ground. Or this is for crypto people, or this is for makers. So there's different genres in there. And I think that kind of niching down and identifying who you are is one thing, and then just backslapping yourself. And sometimes I don't think space or people putting out branding, like a good example is the amount of men on panels, and they're like so proud of like, oh, we got all these top people here. And it's like, they're all white guys, you know, and it kind of, I don't think those people sit around specifically picking white guys to be on their panels, but people like me and you will go, it's all white guys, you know, what does that say about the bigger thing? Now we've gone off on another tangent, which we both love, but
yeah, I mean, I guess like in those cases, it's almost like people pick who they want to see on a panel, and then they're like, oops, I didn't realize that there's no women on this panel. And then it's too late. Or like, yeah, it was a big event in September, and there was just like, there was no, like hardly any women on the panels. And I was like, it's a shame, because it's like, there are certain voices that are missing from those conversations. But yeah, that's something we've
I know how people do that, because it must have been like 2014, and I was running this event with Elena Giroli, who's at Creative Works, and I was so pumped because I got like all these people. I thought they were people from like BT and Oracle and Google, and I was like really jacked up because we're going to talk about the sharing economy, we're changing the world, and I just did not notice. I'd like to point out, this was like more than 10 years ago. People who run events. I just didn't notice that I'd picked 4 white men who were all over 40. And Elena Giroli said, is it only white men that talk about sharing economy in tech, or are other people available? And I was, when she pointed it out, I was horrified. So I know how it happens.
Yeah. But you said that's 2014. It's interesting. It's 2025 and it's still happening.
It is. But we can change that. Anyway, where can we find you online, Lucy?
On that note, you can find me on, I'm a big LinkedIn fan, so you can find me on LinkedIn, Lucy McInally. I have, a Substack, theinclusivecoworker.com. And I am now on Instagram as well as the Inclusive Coworker, so do find me there as well.
Crushing it on Instagram. Okay, folks, all those links are in the show notes. Make sure you go and subscribe. It is, I'm not just saying this because she's like sent me some chocolate and a bottle of whiskey. It is. I've seen Lucy like just get better and better at writing. She includes everyone in there, and it's well worth subscribing. And then in the show notes, there's links to Unreasonable Connection, which is our monthly online event. There's a link to Carsten's very important long-running co-working trend survey, which is the best long-running co-working survey done by a guy from Germany in the world. And there's also the co-working LinkedIn group. And then we'll be in London for Unreasonable Connection, live and in person, same week as the Workspace Design Show. It's an all-day event of co-working community builders getting together to like chat about what works and what doesn't work. And there's a waitlist for that. And if you join the waitlist, you can be part of co-creating it, so you get exactly the event you want, as long as everyone else on the waitlist agrees. So wherever you are in the world, be careful out there. It is a jungle. Say goodbye, Lucy.
Thank you. Bye.